ups, downs, and sideways of the sport of figure skating, and maybe give you +5 DOE along the way. Let's introduce this week's hosts.
Hi, I'm Evie, and I made the bad decision to host this episode fully knowing that I would be dead tired from attending Australian Nationals all of this past week. I'm on Twitter at DoubleFluts.
Hi, I'm Yogeeta, and this weekend has made me very sad, but there were some highlights. I'm on Twitter at Lilyorum.
Hello, I'm Niamh, and I've spent the past weekend looking for gold in Spain updates, which are very few and far between. You can find me on Twitter at Riverdance.
So guys, the Grand Prix Final sure did happen, right?
It happened!
Can we forget it happened?
Honestly, it feels like we've run a marathon watching this whole Grand Prix Final. I'm just so, tired from watching skating.
And honestly, I've watched so much of this lying in my own bed, and yet I'm still so tired.
Same. It's because it's double usual competition, because there's the juniors as well.
The juniors were the shining light of this competition.
Honestly, you're right. Juniors were the only thing that happened.
But before we get on to talking about the juniors, of course, we have to go through the senior events, which were a little bit all over the place in every single discipline. I think the whole event was a lot messier than I expected going into it. Overwhelmingly, I feel like the majority of skaters that were here did better during the qualifiers than they actually did at the final, with the exception of a couple.
Oh yeah, definitely, yeah.
100%.
But before we get into properly talking about each of the disciplines in detail like we usually do, we have to touch on the commentary on the official ISU stream, because this is the first time that the official ISU YouTube stream has had commentary for an event, and it was done by Chris Howarth, formerly of British Eurosport. And it was, yikes to say the least.
You know, at the start of this year, I was like, oh, everyone has free streams now. Why am I paying $60 for NBC Gold? And now I know why I was paying $60 for NBC Gold. Because we had commentary-free streams.
Most of the time, I don't like watching skating with commentary just because it, distracts me so much. Ted is the only commentator that I can stand purely for the fact that he doesn't talk during the performances. He leaves all his comments, to the end, after they're done, and, during the replays, and that's, perfect dream commentary for me. But Chris not only, talked over the top of most of the programs, but, some of his commentary was, borderline disrespectful in some cases. Not only that, the fact that he kept, mispronouncing a lot of names, and it wasn't that he was, mispronouncing, skaters that were unfamiliar to, the majority of the audience. He was mispronouncing skaters' names that have been on the, senior circuit for years. People that he has commentated on before, and he was still making errors. In the case of, in the pairs event, we had Sui and Han, and Chris was, saying, oh yes, Su Wenjing and Han Kong, and I was just oh god. Peng Chen and Yin Yan.
Even the names he was pronouncing wrong aren't even the complicated ones. I could kind of understand some of the really complicated Russian names.
But he was doing fine with those ones.
Yeah, but even the simplest name Boyang Jin.
Boyang Yin.
How hard is it to say Jin?
And then you also had stuff like Guillem Cizeron. Most of these skaters have been competing on the senior circuit for years. Sui and Han, they're 2-time world champions. Guillaume and Gabby, they're multiple 4-time world champions. I've watched his commentary on British Eurosport for some of these teams before.
I swear he said some of the names fine before. I've never noticed him having this much issues in the past.
You would think someone would correct him when he's doing this repeatedly.
I could understand during the short program, and then someone correcting him before the free.
Also, he's in the arena where they are correctly pronouncing the names of the skaters.
Yeah.
There's no excuse at the end of the day for it. We haven't even gotten onto the fact that, some of his commentary was either really overly harsh or ridiculously condescending, especially in the pairs free, you hear him talking about Michael Marinaro, who did have that really bad fall during the throw, and he was talking about, how, the program was going so well, and it's really, a shame that happened. It completely knocked the wind out of him, and I feel so bad for him. And then, in comparison, just a few minutes later, when Sui and Han were on, and Song, had a couple of mistakes, Chris's tone came across as way harsher. And he was saying like stuff like he was all over the shop, and he was pointing out like the grimace on his face, like out when he was exiting the combination.
But like pointing out the grimace on his face, well obviously after he's made a few mistakes, he's not going to be skidding around the rink looking like the happiest boy in the world.
I didn't experience this commentary, but just hear you guys talk about it sounds absolutely terrible.
Even after, in the men's event, when Dmitry Aliev, you know, he had that really awful free skate that was extremely rough, and when he almost lost his balance on the ending pose, Chris commented that, like, the ending really summed up that whole performance. Like, okay, mate, this guy just had one of, like, the roughest free skates of his career, and that's what you're gonna point out? It's just a whole damn mess. Honestly, I wish they just got Ted to do it. He was already there doing the juniors.
Why didn't they just have no commentary at all? It worked fine during the Grand Prix.
I think they probably were like, oh, Ted's gonna be there for the juniors. They need somebody to, like, do the seniors. You can't have commentary for one set, but not the other.
They could have been looking to, like, maybe secure the casual public, I guess, or people who are unexperienced watching skating who might need commentary to understand, you know, elements and stuff, which I get.
Are many people from the general public watching skating on a YouTube stream?
I mean, it's what the ISU wants. That's like the whole reason for them letting it be accessible in this way, to get it out there.
But I guess it's also like for future audiences, like people after they watch the Olympics will come back and search for skating, and they'll be able to find this with commentary, and hopefully the commentary helps, but it sounds like the commentary probably won't.
The commentary didn't even like really go into like much about the elements. Like he was just like, oh, this has a review, and I'm like, that's fine, but if the commentary's there to tell people who don't know the sport what's happening, tell people what the review's for, rather than just saying, oh, this is being reviewed, and I'm like,
Okay, cool.
But for what?
yeah, why is it being reviewed?
You know, if the ISU needed a commentator for seniors, they should have brought back Belinda Noonan, who was the commentator for the Olympics.
Honestly.
But yeah, at the end of the day, this commentary in general just was not on at all. Like, it wasn't good. It wasn't delivering anything, like, useful to the skating public, and yeah, I hope that the ISU does not do this for, like, the championship events coming up, like, starting next month with Euros, because yikes. Let's start actually talking about, like, the competition proper. Let's go and start off with the pairs. So our podium here for senior pairs at the Grand Prix Final were in gold, Sui Wenjing and Han Song of China, Peng Cheng and Jin Yang of China in silver, and then Anastasia Mishina and Alexander Galyamov of Russia with the bronze. So this pairs event, guys, chaotic is a word to describe it.
I think I went into this competition expecting, like, certain scores and also a very different podium than what I got.
That was kind of for a lot of the events.
Yeah, honestly.
But I feel like for pairs in particular, like, I think at least for the other, like, senior discipline, the people on the podium were who I expected to be on the podium, just probably not in the order I wanted them to be. Whereas this one, like, I did not expect Mishina and Galyamov on this podium.
Yeah, especially, like, trading in Mishina Galyamov for Boykova and Kozlovsky, I was definitely not expecting. Just based off what we saw on the qualifiers, it was definitely quite a shock. And then, you know, surprise silver medalist Peng Jin again, which is nice. I like this. But a lot of teams had just some either uncharacteristic or unfortunate mistakes in either one or both programs this week, and it was just really disheartening to see, like, how messy this event was in general, but sometimes stuff like this happens.
I'd rather it here in the Worlds.
This is true, you know, it's only the middle of the season, there's still the championships left to go. No one is looking to peak at the Grand Prix Final. So, Sui and Han won their first senior Grand Prix Final!
They've made it here so many times and always, like, fell short of gold. So I'm so happy they finally got it. It's what they deserve. But it's not like the programs that they put out were not the usual level that we expect from Sui and Han.
Yeah, and they've been having, like, more problems with the side-by-side jumps. Like, Alan had the really wonky landing on the triple toe. It caused him to have, like, pretty bad mistakes on the next couple jumps in that combination, and it was just a little bit of a mess all around. I don't know, like, what the hell is wrong with side-by-sides. Why are side-by-sides always so cursed, guys?
We don't need side-by-sides. We don't need Sal's in particular.
I thought that, like, you know, during Cup of China, they had a couple issues with their pairs spin in the free, and then at HK they managed to, like, fix it, and now it's kind of back to being a little bit unsteady, because, like, Alan, again, he was wobbling in the camel. I don't think he held it for enough positions to count for the level. And so they got a level 3 and a V on it. So they still won.
But it wasn't the runaway victory that we thought they were going to get.
Well, they've got basically a month off. They have like all of January and a bit of February to, if they go to Four Continents, you know, to get ready. And, you know, hopefully work on the issues that they've had. You know, they're pretty much like in the best shape we've seen them for a while. You know, at the moment they're injury free, so that's like the best thing we could hope for. It's just a matter of ironing out the little errors that they've been having, and hopefully, you know, by the end of the season they'll be able to produce the extremely high level performances that we've seen from them in the past.
Yeah, I have full faith that they will figure out their issues and make everything work by Worlds. I have faith for them. Most teams are going to do that.
Let's talk about Peng and Jin, who won the free here.
Oh my god. I support Peng and Jin YOLOing to silver 2 years in a row, and they should continue this.
Yes.
This trajectory is great.
Although they didn't have, like, the greatest, you know, start to the whole competition, considering Jin Young, he lost his luggage. It literally went on, like, a trip around the world, and he finally got it, like, before the competition started, so that was a relief.
This is some Javier Fernandez energy.
Honestly. And then Chang is apparently still injured. So, that's not fun.
Well, they have time to recover now. They're free until Four Continents.
And they had a couple of issues here, like in the short, they weren't clean. But they came out and skated, like, absolutely lights out in the free. It was amazing to see them skate so well. And that program is just, it's grown on me so much over the last couple months. And it's improved, like, not just in the quality of the elements here, but also I think their expression is a lot stronger, especially, like, in the last half of it when the music gets really, like, triumphant. And every time, like, the bits straight after the, like, throw sal just had me crying. But 68 PCS in the free? I do not agree with that at all.
Judges, what you doing?
Alas, judges.
I mean, they always kind of get robbed even when they skate clean. Like, it happened all of last season. Even at the Grand Prix Final last season it happened, and it's happening, like, again now. And I'm not shocked, but, like, I would have them at least in the low 70s for a performance like that. I don't understand.
Yeah, they're always so lowball, but I think part of that here was they were skating in the first group of the pairs because they were 6th after the short. So the fact that they came from 6th and placed in silver is amazing. But I'm, like, always really in awe of, like, how much they've, like, improved. Like, every time I see them, like, I remember them, like, back in the Olympic season, and that they were fun and quirky, but I wasn't like, oh my god, you guys are amazing, you guys are gonna raise to the level of, like, Sui and Han and be amazing and one of the best teams in the world.
Well, they did have those issues at the Olympics, like, they didn't qualify for the free in the individual event.
Yeah, but, like, last season and this season, they've, like, completely blown me away. I'm, like, super impressed that they have had, like, 4 great programs in the past 2 seasons. They've definitely grown and, like, understood, like, how to use their personalities in the short and the free and to, like, tell stories and to be engaging with the audience, and they're just gonna keep getting better.
Yeah, and since they have 2 months now till Four Continents, it gives them time to, like, rest and recover and then come back even stronger than they were here.
We hope that. Can we talk about Kirsten and Michael and their fall?
That looked like a hurt.
I don't think I've ever seen, like, out of a throw, seeing the guy being the one that falls.
I've never seen that happen. She had the perfect landing and somehow he was the one that fell.
They didn't have the best short program either. They had, you know, they had the fall on the throw there as well, and they had issues with the side-by-sides. Overall, this whole competition was pretty shaky for them, and they did really well in both of their, like, earlier assignments, and just, it's unfortunate that they couldn't cap off their Grand Prix final with a good skate here. And I'd imagine that this would probably be a really good, like, incentive to like spend the next couple of weeks before Canadian Nationals to, you know, really hammer down and train everything and make sure that they're ready to, you know, skate lights out at Nats.
Yeah. Everything they're doing right now is going to be in preparation for Four Continents.
Basically, the story of that free was throw your partner, but don't throw her that hard.
Listen, we respect his commitment to throwing her hard.
Just when you yeet your partner so hard, you yeet yourself.
Let's not teach that lesson to future pairs.
Okay, I think we have to go on to talking about the Russians here, because I think, like, we were all a little bit surprised with how, like, each team fared, because it was a bit all over the place.
That's just kind of the theme of the entire competition, though. Let's talk about the Russians.
Let's talk about the Russians.
So Machina and Galyamov were our surprise bronze medalists. You know, they were our only Russian team on the podium, and they managed to place ahead because Boykova and Kozlovsky unfortunately had quite a lot of errors in the free, which was not fun to see considering how well they skated in both of their assignments.
Mishina and Galyamov, I'm like impressed that they were able to, like, within all this chaos, be pretty consistent, and they rightfully deserve their bronze. I still don't, not the biggest fan of their skating. I find them stiff, and I think they're a little slow, and I don't think these programs are a good fit for them.
I'm really quite shocked that they managed to place here, but, like, they definitely deserved it with how well they skated on these past couple days. It was just, I was so upset to see Sasha and Dima have such a rough outing here in the free, because, you know, they had the problems with the throws and the death spiral, and we've saw them skate, like, basically, like, clean programs every time in the Grand Prix series, and here I don't know if it was just like the pressure that got to them, because, you know, they were coming in with the expectation of, oh, they skated so well in both of their events, like, surely they're going to do so as well, if not better, here. And so, you know, there could have just been a mind games thing that got to them at the end.
I think this is just like a stepping stone and like a minor roadblock for them in the season. I don't have like any worries really going into Russian Nationals that they're not going to win. I think this is one place where they might have had mental blocks. They know that it can happen now, and I think they'll be able to surpass it, because they're that kind of team that like takes their challenges head on and tries to surpass them.
And then you have, like, Pavlyuchenko and Kodakin, who finished in last after the errors that they had in the free, including a really scary fall from Daria right at the start of the program. Oh boy, I don't think I've seen a fall, like, that dramatic in quite a while. She, like, fully went flying in the air, like she was just going onto a really deep outside edge in the steps leading into the twist, and then just went whoop, just fell right on the ice, and it was just, oh geez, it was a shock to say the least.
Yeah, it definitely like affected the rest of their performance in that free. Honestly, it felt like such a freak thing. Like, I don't think I've ever seen anything like that happen before. Like, I've seen falls and steps, but, like, nothing to that degree. That felt like she had fallen from, like, a jump or a throw, not just skating.
Yeah.
The way that her whole body just went flying up in the air before it just went, like, she went down, yeah, it definitely seemed to affect her.
And she wasn't even going, like, particularly fast.
Yeah, that's the thing.
She was just really on a deep edge, and I think she probably like tripped over herself.
We've got to give her the commitment to, you know, using that deeper edge in her steps, but oh boy.
But it was a beautiful edge before it happened. Some ice dancers could learn from her.
Yeah, this, like, all of the placements here at Grand Prix Final, it's just really strange for the Russian teams. Like, Russian Nats is coming up in just like 2 weeks now, and it's going to be insane because we've got these three teams, but we also have, you know, obviously Tarasova and Morozov who weren't here. We also have Stolbova and Novoselov who were, you know, on the Grand Prix, and then potentially Zabiako and Embert. I'm not entirely sure what the status of their injury is and if they're like planning to come back for Russian Nationals, but, you know, they could potentially be in the mix too.
I think like of the 6 teams that'll be there, I think Boykova and Kozlovsky are probably our winners for nationals if everything goes as expected. But who knows? Nothing ever goes as expected. Okay, shall we move on to the men? We had Nathan Chen from the US, Yuzuru Hanyu of Japan, and Kevin Amos of France.
I don't even want to think about this men's event, honestly, because it's like, oh god. It was a mess.
Even just not talking, like, even, like, forgetting the scoring happened.
Bring on the brain bleach, honestly. I would like to forget. I mean, Grand Prix Final is, like, for men is always kind of up and down, so not completely surprising that this event was a mess, but, like, the scoring, or just in general.
Oh boy, shall we talk about scoring?
I feel like we've been through this scoring debate before.
Yeah, but this time it's, like, particularly egregious, so we have to go into it. So let's talk about Nathan's, first his short program score, because he's had, like, an 8-point increase in his score from the short from, like, both Skate America and IDF, which were both from in the 102s, to 110 here, and I just, like, my brain can't justify that 8-point leap.
Well, I, like, went back and looked at the components, and his components are basically the same in those two comps and here. So it's really the tech score that, like, had, like, a massive jump here.
It was the GOE, yeah. At Scam and IDF, he was getting, like, a lot of 2s and 3s, and here he was getting a lot of 4s and 5s.
He also made errors in both of those skates.
And here he was actually clean, so he obviously got the benefits from that, but it's just an 8-point lead. It's a huge jump. Let's talk about Yuzu, his free skate score, because I, for one, was like, when it came out, I was sitting just on my couch, like, completely slack-jawed, like, just staring out into the middle distance, completely, like, I just didn't understand it.
How do you land a 5-quad free and not break 200 points?
Like, I wasn't expecting anything massively high, because obviously he didn't have the axles, and then the presentation and stuff wasn't the best because he was very obviously winded. But I was expecting at least 205.
Yeah, like the fact that he did 5 quads, like the only element that was called was the triple flip. And yeah, he missed the axle and left quite a lot of points on the table, but still, like,
he did 5 quads.
The technical content of his free was pretty crazy. It, like, all things considered, I'm just absolutely baffled. But that's not even the worst thing, in my opinion. Even though he was, like, visibly winded in the free skate, and he wasn't, like, as polished as, say, Skate Canada, where, like, that's probably my favorite performance of Origin that I've seen from him. Like, a 93 in components,
regardless of how winded he is, it doesn't change the fact his skating skills are the top of his field. It doesn't stop that, like, he has great transitions.
Yeah.
It doesn't stop the composition.
When will judges realize that just because you give high PCS to one category doesn't mean you have to give high PCS to another category, and vice versa?
They will never realize that.
Honestly, like, I would probably dock him points for interpretation and performance, but, like, the other 3 categories should still be at their regular levels.
Nathan set some new world records here. He came close to the short program record and eclipsed his own world records for the free and total score here.
Like, Nate is a great skater. Let's start with this. Like, his consistency is otherworldly. Like, there is no one else out there who can do jumps at the way that he does. But, like, just as he can jump doesn't mean, like, you should be giving him, like, 9s and components. Like, he has a lot of things that he can work on. And, like, I'm not saying he hasn't worked on them. Like, he has improved significantly from, like, before the Olympics to now. But, like, he can still improve his basic skating skills. His programs don't have as many transitions compared to, like, Yuzuru and Kevin Amos. He, like, definitely can still work on performance, interpretation, composition. Like, these are all things that we know that he needs to improve on still. And the judges clearly don't agree with us.
Yeah, and, like, even just looking at something like his transitions, like, we saw at IDF that he was doing, like, steps into his triple axel, but it seems like he wasn't doing them here, and, like, in the short program, he's taken them out, which, like, I've kind of, like, get, you know, fair enough, you want to be as clean as possible at such a big competition, but he was getting, like, the same marks for transitions when he's, like, very obviously removed them from his programs.
Obviously, he is working on these things, because, like, the jump he's had since even just the Olympics to now, like, is impressive.
He hasn't skated a bad program, like, since the Olympics, basically.
But, like, his skating skills and stuff since then have improved, like, a lot. Like, that should show in the scores, but the judges aren't giving him any more room to improve, because they're already giving him the marks. Even if he does, like, he is working to improve them, but he can't improve them whilst the judges are already giving him the marks, because there's nowhere higher he can go.
To be fair, I don't think that kind of, like, thought process is affecting Nathan, like, personally, just hearing from him in press conferences, because it's very clear that he understands that there are areas in which he needs to improve his skating, and he is taking those steps to address them. Like, the fact that he's, like, going to Gabb, like, a couple times, like, every few months, and going to train with Murray France there, and, like, improving his skating skills, which is really, really, like, admirable, because that's something that it was a weak point.
But, like, Nathan Self had said in the press con that he's still behind Yuzuru components-wise, but he beat Yuzuru by 2 points in components in the free.
And, like, this wasn't Yuzuru's best free skate, like, components-wise, but, like, there's no situation in which Nathan is ahead of Yuzuru in transitions and skating. Like, I'm not going to get angry over the performance and interpretation, because Yuzuru's performance isn't what we know he can do, and those parts are Nathan's strong points of his components. Like, they're the parts of his components that I'm like, okay, I can see kind of why the judges are giving him the marks for that, if that makes sense.
And, like, no one is saying that Nathan didn't deserve to win the Grand Prix Final, because he absolutely did. He skated 2 clean programs here when no one else in the field was able to, like, do that or match his technical content. Yuzu and Nathan's, like, scores in comparison to each other weren't, like, the only ones that left me with questions. Like, looking at Boyang's, like, 77 PCS in the free versus Samarin's 83, both of them, like, had a level of, like, quality that was pretty similar in the free. They both didn't skate particularly well, but they still had that kind of, like, disparity between, like, components.
Boyang and Samarin are, like, pretty similar skaters in my book. Like, they both excel at the jumps and, like, have the weaker components and skating skills. But I'm, like, just, like, consistently across the season, we've seen Samarin get, like, higher components than, like, Boyang, and this just caused me very much confusion, because I don't see where they're coming from. Like, also here, like, Samarin outscored Boyang in both the short and the free, and I personally thought, like, Boyang was better in the short than Samarin, but 6 points in the free in difference, I don't know where they come from. And also, I think Boyang's free skate is a better choreographed program for Boyang versus, like, Samarin's free skate for Samarin. It helps highlight what Boyang is good at, while also giving him room to grow, which has been true of his free skates for the past few seasons, which I think is an excellent approach, because they know that, like, there's a lot of room for improvement around there. But I don't really see those openings in Samarin's programs.
I will say that I think out of, like, all of the showings we've seen from Samarin this season, like, his performance of that free skate was, like, just expression-wise was probably the best that we've seen. After he finished, like, all of his jumps and stuff, he actually, like, he allowed himself to, you know, focus on emoting and really opened up and, like, was outwardly expressing, which was really, really good to see, because I have a really hard time connecting with his skating, because most of the time it feels like he's just skating to the music rather than with the music. So I am really happy that, like, he was making a bit of a stride here with performance, and I hope that continues, like, coming up in the next few competitions he's at.
Let's move on from the scoring discourse and, like, actually talk about some highlights from the men's event. Obviously, Yuzuru and his 5 quad free.
First of all, before we talk about his quads, may we discuss the quad axle?
Do we have to?
I'm so mad that, like, he, like, attempted to do quad axle in practice, and then at the press con, he said that, like, oh, he wasn't sure if he was doing the quad axle or the triple axle sequence, and that's why he messed up his combo.
Just little Yuzu thing.
Now I'm just imagining him doing a five quad program and then yeeting out a quad axle at the very end.
Leave. We don't need that.
That is my nightmare.
Yuzuru, you have a history of doing hard jumps in practices and it not ending well.
And some of those falls that he had, like the videos that I saw of practices, they looked really scary. Honestly, just my anxiety level throughout the whole free skate here was like almost as bad as my anxiety like during the Olympics. It was that bad. I don't know why I was so anxious, but you know.
I wasn't anxious. I just wanted him to like be happy with like what he put out here, and he was. But can we talk about his quad toe, triple toe? Because what is going on?
Where has it gone?
It's because of the Quinn. He's training the Quinn.
I'm kind of surprised that he didn't actually attempt to tack on a jump to the end of his quad toe in the short.
For you, gonna say I'm surprised he didn't tag on a Quinn.
No.
But the quad Lutz, guys, the quad Lutz is back.
It's back. Oh my god, it's gorgeous.
It's back.
I still have a trauma about it, but it's back.
I like kind of trust it more than the quad loop.
I mean, the quad Lutz still has 100% success rating.
2 out of 2.
Like, despite like all the scoring discourse that's been going around for this competition, like Yuzuru here seems really happy with what he's done. Like, he fought a lot of demons this Grand Prix series.
He made it out of the Grand Prix with 2 functioning ankles.
And he's planning on going to Japan next.
Yeah, like, he made it to the Grand Prix final without, like, any injury. He was able to, like, bring back the Let's and land it successfully. He landed the loop here successfully. He did his first 5 quad layout. Like, he's done so much for, like, him personally at this final. Like, even though he didn't win gold, he won a lot for himself.
Let's talk about Kevin. Kevin's angry-ass short program.
The minute the music went on, he went from, like, confused to, like, mad. Like, just the minute the music switched.
And understandably so. If that happened to me, I would be so pissed. And then he went out and skated, like, completely lights out. So amazing.
I'm just so happy for Kevin. He's had such an amazing season.
Legitimately, though, during his free skate, one, he had another new costume for his free, which I found extremely hilarious. But two, like, it was just so damn beautiful watching him skate that free. And then his reaction and the kiss and cry to his scores. Oh my god.
It's like moments in that kiss and cry that remind me why I still watch figure skating.
Yeah, like, he was so excited. Kevin did not come into the season with plans to go to the Grand Prix Final, and now he's like a Grand Prix Final medalist, and it just makes me so happy. And honestly, he set himself up so well to win Europeans that I hope I'm not jinxing him by saying this.
Knock on wood, knock on wood.
He's like the front runner for me right now, because his consistency of all the European men this season has been the highest.
Yeah, let's talk about another European man quickly who did not have the skates that he wanted here at the Grand Prix Final. Dima.
Is he injured?
Honestly, it felt like I time traveled back to last year when, last season for Dima was absolutely horrible to watch him consistently have all the issues.
Yeah, but that was because he was injured last season.
I hope it wasn't just a flare-up of a past injury. Just, it's really quite worrying to see him struggle that much in a free.
Especially because, like, he has had a really great Grand Prix this year.
And a good Challenger series, too.
Yeah, like, I know, like, I personally wasn't expecting him to make the final, just giving his history. It just, like, it felt as if, like, this season he was beginning to, like, break away. Like, I know he was injured last year, but also, like, some of, like, the mental blocks or the, like, psychological things that were maybe restricting him in the past. But, like, I hope this just doesn't send him back into that where he can't seem to put together a skate.
It was just really weird for me because it wasn't just the jumps, it was the spins he was messing up. But he was, like, noticeably winded and, like, even when he ended the program,
he looked like he just had the wind knocked out of him at the end of it. It was just had nothing left in the tank. I really hope this doesn't, like, hurt his trajectory going into Russian Nationals because, it's only just 2 weeks away now.
I'm hoping that this was just, like, a weird mental block and he's not injured again.
Yeah. Let's go to ice dance.
So, in first we have Gabriella Papadakis and Guillaume Cizeron from France. In second, we have Madison Chalk and Evan Bates from the USA. And in third, we have Madison Hubble and Zachary Donahue, also from the USA.
This competition was definitely like the messiest ice dance competition we've seen like in a long while.
Shock, shock, we had a Gabwa podium.
Oh, I know, completely shocking.
Who expected that?
I expected a version of this podium, but like how we got to this podium was not how I expected to get here.
It was not the journey I was expecting to go on.
But like the rhythm dance was kind of a mess all around. Like we even saw like Gabby was stumbling like in the step sequence.
She stumbled like twice, didn't she?
Yeah, and no one got above a level 3 in the pattern type step sequence either. We even had like Chalk and Bates beating Sinitsuna and Katsulapov in the rhythm dance. Even though, like, SK, they won base value and PCS, but Chalk and Bates just got the higher GOE, and so won, like, overall. It was so strange to see. And, like, the patterns here were kind of a mess. I mean, a few teams came, like, pretty close to being clean, but they all ended up being readjusted, like, after, like, while the scores were being, you know, calculated. Like, all, like, 3 of the podium teams, they all missed the first key point in the pattern, like, which I agree with the calling there. Like, that all of the ladies were pretty, like, both clearly on, like, stepping onto flats before, like, going into the cross back step in that first key point, and, like, honestly, I probably would have been a little bit harsher on the fin step levels. I know, shocking, me being harsher on pattern key points. But I don't think that, like, any of the guys out of the podium fulfilled that second key point in fin step. At least, in my opinion, they were all pretty flat. So I don't think I would have given it to them. But like, you even saw Victoria, who is, you know, Sinitsuna and Katsulapov are very much rhythm dance skaters. They're, you know, their technical, like, level really, you know, gives them that advantage in the rhythm dance, but like, Vika missed both of her key points in fin step, and then they only got, like, a midline step sequence level 2, which is really, you know, uncharacteristic for them as a team. I don't know if it was just like a fluke kind of accident or, you know, I mean, they had errors in both programs, which we haven't seen.
Yeah, in the free, like, they got a level 3 on the rotational lift, they got a level 2 combo spin, and then they got a fall in their choreo slide at the end. Like, literally, Evie and I spent, like, way too long trying to figure out why.
We spent like an hour looking at ISU documents this morning until I was just rewatching it. Like, I kept replaying the slide in slow motion, trying to figure out, like, why the hell this got a deduction. And I only realized when I was like, okay, no, I need to move on from this because I've spent like 45 minutes looking at this one slide.
Too much of your time.
Exactly. I've been spending too much of my time looking at this one slide. I need to move on. And so I, like, turned it off slow-mo on YouTube and I was just letting it play out. And I was watching the replays, and on the different angle that the slow motion replay camera provided, I noticed that Vika, like, very clearly lost her balance during that slide, and she, like, put her weight onto the sliding knee in order to keep her upper body from falling.
I wouldn't call that a fall.
No, but that's what the fall, like, is in the handbook, because it's defined, like, as a loss of control with the body weight being transferred to the ice, and that is what happened.
How did the judges see this though in real time when they don't see half of under rotations?
I mean, it was definitely a really harsh call and not one that I expected. It had, like, really big, like, stationary lift base energy to see that kind of call be, like, affected. Let's talk about our champions, our unsurprising champions, Papadakis and Cizeron, they were overall, like, a bit more vulnerable than we've seen them, like, in the last couple of competitions. Like, the lead that they had in the rhythm dance was, like, barely a lead, and then, like, they skated, like, near clean in their free dance. They got basically the same score in the free here they did at NHK. They both got a 136. I'm not sure if it was just, like, the pressure that got to them. I mean, they weren't at the final last year, so, you know, it was the comeback pressure, I guess.
I just will equate it to the weird Italian energy that clearly was in this rink for every event.
The weird Italian energy.
Honestly, like, the event was just angry we didn't get Guinard and Fabry, and they were just like, no! No.
I am the event.
But like, yeah, despite all of this, they still managed to get within like a few tenths of a point to their world record in the free. Their levels were pretty similar, like to their skates at IDF as well. In fact, was only like a 0.01 difference in base value between the two. But like the difference between the scores like here and the scores at IDF were like nearly 3 points. So it's like I keep asking this, but like what sort of message is this sending to them? The same kind of like crazy jumping their scoring happens like every season, where they basically hit the PCS ceiling at like their third competition, and it happens like consistently.
I'm just frustrated because like I wholeheartedly agree that like they deserve to win. They are the best ice dancers of the squad, but I just continue to just not understand how like GOE works in ice dance clearly, because I don't see what they're doing that makes it so much different from the other skaters that they deserve like such a high margin of difference in the scoring.
I think that like as their like mistakes in the rhythm dance especially were, you know, considering they literally broke the 90 point barrier in NHK and now coming back here and getting an 82, I'm curious to see like how that's going to affect their mentality going into the second half of the season, because, you know, there are other teams that are looking like they could potentially start to catch up if Papadakis and Cicero aren't clean and the other like teams are, like, just segueing into talking about Chock and Bates, their scoring is very much going towards an upward trend. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if we see them hit 130 at their next competition if they're as clean as they were here, considering they got a 129 here, which is freaking insane.
I don't like this program.
The free, yeah.
But I kind of understand why the judges like this program, and because it's very choreographed to them, and like it works for them, and it's very well choreographed to the music. So they're letting the program do a lot of the work for them, and it's helping them a lot with the scores, even though I don't agree with the scores that they're getting.
And, like, this was probably the best we've seen them perform their free dance, like, overall. Especially, their elements were looking a lot smoother overall. It's like, their opening lifts were just so easy looking. Like, the combination, the 2 curve lifts they do in a row, that looked so effortless and nice. But their twizzles are out of the field here. I would probably say that, like, they're probably the weakest, just because they're nowhere near as fast as the other teams, and they're like, you look at them in comparison to teams like Hubble and Donahue, Papadakis and Cicero, and like Stepanova and Buchan. They all have really fast, really quite precise twizzle, and then Chock and Bates are like visibly and noticeably slower in their rotations, yet they're still getting the same, if not higher, GOE on it, which is just like, I don't understand at all. I feel like if we're talking about like really harsh tech calling, like we talk about Sinitsa and Katsalapov's fall deduction, I am legitimately surprised that like Chock and Bates don't get any sort of like interruption deduction on their character step sequence, because they go to like do 2 full stops in it. There are limits to how many like complete stops you can have in a program, and I'm really, really surprised that they don't get called on that, because it's very much getting close to that time limit.
I don't like their ending position because of what it like represents, but I do have to admit it's a very cool ending position.
It is, but I always worry he's gonna drop it.
Because if she falls, it's on her. She's on her head.
But like honestly, if Chock and Bates win nationals next month, which is like probably what is going to happen,
like 95% likely.
Yeah, and then if they win 4 continents again, which, you know, there is a very good chance of that happening again, they could really easily start breaking 130 in the free dance, and who knows, you know, with nationals scoring and how, you know, that affects international scoring in a whole. They do obviously still have that weakness in the rhythm dance where their levels aren't quite as good as some of the other teams, so it probably won't like put them in contention for major titles like Worlds, but it, you know, it seems really like they're really trying to fit into that position as the world number 2, and the judges seem to agree. I mean,
if you'd asked me after the Olympics who was going to be the top US ice dance team, it would not have been Chalk and Bates.
Let's talk about another US ice dance team, Hubble and Donahue, who have done some major reworking of their free skates since we last saw them, because obviously they had such a long gap between Skate Canada and here, and they needed to breathe new life into this free, and they did, and I think that the changes they made to it were really quite good.
Yeah, they added a couple of new lifts as well, and I think that they were major improvements to the old lifts that they had in the program. I still don't like this program. I think they could be doing a lot better. I feel like that's my opinion of all ice dance this season.
Listen, it's better than their Romeo and Juliet. That is the bar for me, okay?
The changes they've made here have really, worked in their favor, but obviously they made it for the Grand Prix Final, so, it's still rough around the edges.
Yeah, but I think the fact that they moved the step sequence, the serpentine step sequence right to the start of the program really works with the particular music cut that they've used, rather than having the character steps in there, which they had previously, because it really just starts the program off with a bang, and they're showcasing how speedy they are across the ice. It really conveys to the audience that yes, we're a really powerful team, and we're using the intensity of this music to showcase that. I think that overall the improvements they've made to this program have really been for the better, and I'm actually quite looking forward to seeing this again at Nationals, just to see if they can take it further.
I'm hoping that they will be able to clean up some of the roughness of it for Nationals, and see if a cleaned version of this program can actually compete with Chalk and Bates at this point. It's quite curious to me that the US Fed has decided that Chalk and Bates is now their top team and has been pushing for them this season, but I guess that's what happens after what happened at Four Continents last season.
And there's still a month before Nationals, so...
But that's not the only Nationals matchup that's going to be really interesting in the coming months, because we've got obviously Russian Nationals, and we have Stepanova and Buchan versus Sinisner and Katsalapov, and obviously SB won here over them, which is just insane to think about.
But that was due to that error with the choreographic slide,
yeah,
which is still confusing. But they had the same base value here. They both had room to improve in the levels, but I was actually quite surprised that they had the same base value, because Sinisner and Katsalapov are to me much more technical skaters over Stepanova and Buchan, so they definitely have a lot of room for improvement, and I know that especially with this choreographic slide error, that they're going to fix that. So Stepanova and Buchan will have to bring out the best performance of their lives for Russian Nationals if they want to win, because despite the fact that SK lost in their technical scores, they still won PCS, and in ice dance who wins PCS is really an indicator of who their feds are politicking for. So really, Stepanova and Buchan need to step their game up significantly for Russian Nats.
That's so mad to me that Stepanova and Buchan won the TES and lost the PCS, just because Stepanova and Buchan are they're more presentation skaters.
They should be winning performance and interpretation and composition.
Give SK skating skills.
Exactly.
Just from looking at their program, Stepanova and Buchan are just such more audience skaters, if that makes sense.
And it helps that their programs are also better,
yeah,
than SK's this season. But yeah, honestly, Stepanova and Buchan should in these next couple of weeks, the best thing for them to do would be to drill the absolute hell out of their rhythm dance and ensure that they can get those levels, because that's really their weakness. They are much more suited to skating a free dance than they are a rhythm dance, and the rhythm dance is SK's strength at the end of the day. So they need to be able to match whatever lead SK can get in that rhythm dance, so to make sure that they can stay in contention when the free comes around. So yeah, Nationals for dance for both Russian and US Nationals, they're both going to be pretty crazy to watch.
Yeah.
Basically, the summary is, please watch Nationals.
Please watch dance at Nationals.
It's going to be great. Okay, Okay, let's move on to ladies, where we had an all-Russian podium.
The 3As.
Who expected that?
Alyona Kosternaya in Russia with the gold, Anna Shcherbakova in silver, and Alexandra Trusova in bronze.
The Russian ladies taking over the podium. What a surprise.
Welcome to our mini Russian nationals at Grand Prix Final.
It's, pretty much as expected. Like, I think, like, the order of everyone shocked me a little bit because I was honestly expecting it to be Alyona, Sasha, and then Anna, but, I mean, there we go, I guess.
I'm, like, so impressed with Alyona. Like, she is setting herself up as the front runner of the season, and like with her consistency and like her quality of her skating, like she can like win the rest of the season handily.
And like, and Anna as well, like she has been like so up and down, like in the last like junior season she had, and now she's becoming a much more like consistent and well-rounded skater. It's really, really nice to see those improvements that we like can clearly see in her programs, and her like just general like her skating overall is looking a lot nicer than it has been like recently. And then there's just Sasha, like, going balls to the wall with technical content. It's insane. What was interesting, though, here at this ladies' event was that there were well, I guess not really interesting, kind of more expected. The fact that there were no edge calls at all in either programs.
None of them got called for their edges, though we had a pretty large number of under rotation calls.
It seemed at some points that they were just doubling down on the under rotations to make up for the fact they weren't calling edges.
One day we'll have a consistent tech panel.
And that day, the ISU can dance upon my grave. Let's talk a bit more in depth about Alyona, who set 2 new world records here, which is just insane. And honestly, I'm not completely sold on just the scores she was given, because, again, I think she should have been called on her Lutzes, just because, you know, most of them were flat, like, borderline inside, so, you know, but that's, like, a common theme that we've had for the last couple competitions, where I'm like, I'm very happy Alyona's winning, but please, can you call her on her Lutz, because it is not great.
Yeah, I really wish that they would call the edges, because that's probably gonna, like, make or break, like, putting a non-Russian on a podium, like Rika in the future competition, who doesn't have edge issues. But yeah, Alyona, like, she skated 2 clean programs. Clean in quotations, because they didn't call her at her flutzes, but like other than like a close call with her first triple axel in the free, like everything was like sun shining away for her.
I'm really happy that she won like PCS by a margin that I agree with, like in the free especially. Like it's really like nice to see that she is winning components.
Well, she didn't win PCS in the short.
No, she didn't. But she did in the free, and that's what I'm happy about.
Let's talk about Anna. I'm like so like pleasantly surprised with Anna. She's like grown on me so much this season, and I really like her free skate now. I think she's finally like selling it. It's like the performance she gave here is probably the best I've ever seen her perform anything, and she looks like she's just having fun now instead of like I remember last season she just constantly looked like in fear of her jumps, and especially her lets.
Especially with the free, because it was such a heavy piece of music and the choreography was quite intense, so I'm happy she's allowed to have fun in this free skate.
I know some people are like over her dress change, but it makes her so happy to do it, and I'm just like, live your best life.
Yeah, you can tell that she really likes it.
She attempted a flip here though, like a quad flip, and I'm just like, Anna, why?
Well, at least she rotated it. I really like this free skate, like you said, Yogs. It's also really grown on me too for over these last couple competitions. I just really wish that she would spend some time like working on her getting more speed out of her landings, like especially the quads, because like she basically grinds to a halt when she lands them, and it just detracts from the overall like cohesion of the program and the composition. And she can hold such lovely positions coming out of the jumps. I just wish she did that with like speed and a nice running edge, you know?
Yeah.
But like she won the free, which I was not expecting.
She did. She had a really good short too. Like overall, like this was a really good competition for her. I think, and it's the best competition she's had all season. So let's talk about Sasha.
Sasha. Oh boy. Where to start with Sasha?
Sasha scares me. She's so small, but
So powerful.
yeah, where does it come from?
It comes from her tenacity and love for Tina. It's truly coming from her love of dogs. Like, she's doing a triple axel because her parents told her that they would get her a dog if she could land the triple axel.
But, like, she attempted a triple axel in the short, and, like, she fell on it, and it was under. She really commits to it. Like, she went for it there.
In the fray, she popped her quad sal and fell on her quad toe. The quad toe really surprised me because she's usually pretty consistent with the quad toe. But the quad sal, she has not landed it all season. She needs to just get rid of it.
You don't need it, Sasha. Your tech content's already so high.
She nearly got the same tech content as Yuzu.
Let's talk about her quad flip, though.
It's so good. It's so beautiful.
The height and the flow that she got out of the landing on that is just, oh boy. Like, obviously, it was a little bit heavy on the pre-rotation, like a lot of her quads are, but, you know, this is the first time we're seeing her perform a quad flip in competition. The first time a lady has ever done one in comp, like, successfully, so...
I just truly, like, appreciate Sasha and her, like, tenacity to keep increasing the difficulty of her programs and, like, to get every jump that she possibly can. But, like, I wish she would, like, direct some of that energy into, like, I don't know, her skating skills and performance.
Yeah, her PCS are, like, really holding her down. She had the highest TES in the free by, like, over, like, nearly 3 points, even with the mistakes. But she was brought down the third because of the PCS, are literally the lowest in the field by, like, 3 points. So, like, her, like, there's no point, well, there's obviously a point her doing all these crazy jumps, but, like, her TES lead is just being brought back down by the PCS.
And the fact that, like, Aliona has been, you know, making leaps and strides in both her, like, not only her PCS has been rising over the last couple competitions, but, you know, she's got the triple axel now.
And she's, like, a much more consistent skater than Sasha.
If Sasha could get a triple axel consistent in the short, I think it would be another story, but for now, it's definitely more of a case of...
She needs to work on the components and skating skills, because she's, like, even with the big jump, she's not getting the results she wants.
And honestly, I don't think that her programs this season are, like, conducive to working on her PCS, especially on, like, performance, interpretation, composition side, because they're not really giving her very many avenues to express herself, like, in the program, and the, like, overall composition of both of the programs I'm not especially, like, fond of, and I don't think they highlight her skating very well, so I don't know, man. I think overall Aliona has much better constructed programs, probably the best out of all of the, like, Atari girls this season, so yeah, it's very much a case of Sasha really does, that's, like, the one area she really needs to focus on going forward.
Yeah, I hope that she recognizes this, like, after seeing how she did here, and, like, understands that, like, yes, I can have all the jumps in the world, but I need to improve my skating skills, and to actually, like, spend some time. Like, she'll still be competitive.
Especially because you also have Anna who's doing these quads, and, like, her PCS obviously aren't at the same level as Aliona, but they are, like...
They're getting close, though.
Yeah, they're strides above Sasha's, and Anna has the jumps as well.
Let's go to talk about Rika and how she did here, and obviously, you know, the quad train didn't stop with just the 3 A's. Rika did attempt a quad sal in the free, and unfortunately she, you know, did fall on it, but she went for it. I applaud her guts for putting it in and going for it. Like, it was really a nasty fall, though, and it definitely seemed to kind of knock the wind out of her right at the start of the program. Like, I'm kind of curious to see if she's gonna, like, try for, like, maybe testing it out again at Nationals, because, like, I wouldn't put it past her, especially considering, like, her, like, track record of skating at Nationals, like, really well is pretty high, so... You know, I'm interested to see how she does in maybe a slightly less stressful environment.
I don't see a fall on the quad sal affecting her chances of making teams if, like, it happens at Nationals anyway. Like, she's got nothing to lose at Nationals, so...
Especially with her consistency on every other element, I don't, see that affecting her.
But I'm, like, really impressed with how consistent Rika's gotten with her triple axel, because I remember her in her junior season where, like, that triple axel.
It was just a constant, like, it was at the point where it was the, it was the assumed triple axel fall at the start of the program.
And then when it happened, she'd just fall apart for the rest of the program.
Yeah, but she's gotten over that mental block, which is incredible, and we're seeing like improvements in her mental game even now, and the way that she's coping with errors in the programs that the way that she just manages to bounce back and manage to skate pretty much near clean afterwards is really impressive, and I completely applaud her for the way she's able to turn around a skate when she has an error like that.
Yeah, and I can definitely see, like, a completely clean Rika vying for a world medal.
Oh, definitely.
I think that she knows that what she has to do, and she's going, especially after missing the podium last season, that she is going to work her hardest to get on it this season.
Although I don't necessarily agree with, like, in the free, or in both programs even, Anna got higher PCS than Rika, so that was a choice.
Choices were made.
I think I would maybe give Anna performance and, like, transitions in the free, but, like, things like skating skills, Rika clearly has the upper hand, in my opinion, when it comes to that. Like, even though Anna has really nice basics, I think Rika's a little bit stronger in that regard, so, yeah. I don't necessarily agree with Anna outscoring Rika in PCS.
I'll give a quick shout out to Brady, who came out here and did what she needed to do. Like, she didn't come here in contention for a medal, but she, like, did her best and, like, skated 2 mostly clean programs, and I really applaud that.
Yeah, I'm really, really happy for her. I think that this is going to give her some really good momentum going into Nats next month, which she really needs to, get that kind of edge on her competitors there. And, like, her programs this season have both really, really grown on me. Like, they're easily the best that she's ever had, and I think they, like, show off her strengths really, really well, especially in, like, her expression. And, like, yeah, I'm really, really, like, happy for her. Brady, and just general, I have adopted her this season, I guess.
I hope, like, being the US lady to qualify gives her the boost, because Mariah also had, like, a really good Grand Prix placement-wise. But, like, I hope her being the one to get to the final and having 2 good skates at the final gives her that
edge. Yeah.
So, unfortunately, we have to talk about Alina.
Oh, God.
I just want to, like, wrap her up in a burrito blanket.
Honestly, is Italy just a cursed place for Alina to compete in? Because, Worlds 2018 happened, and now this.
Don't speak of Worlds 2018. She had so much pressure on her shoulders. She, like, skated. She was the last to skate. She skated after her 3 juniors had skated, and, like, there's just so much pressure for her to, like, keep doing so well. She looked everything she did looked so rushed and uneven. I'm pretty concerned that maybe she had some injury or something, because it was pretty unlike her.
And she had so many errors in that free skate, lots of under rotations and falls, and just, it was insane to see her struggle that much, and it made me feel so bad for her. I just really hope this wasn't an aggravating an injury issue or anything, or it was really just a blip in the season, an uncharacteristic, error-filled program. I really hope that this doesn't, like, hurt her going into nationals, because it's going to be even more, like, pressure-filled than this event was, because obviously European and world qualification is on the line. It's gonna be even crazier, because all of the Russian ladies that didn't make the final are gonna be there. Like, Lisa with her quad toe now, and then we also have Zhenya,
Sophia, I guess.
Yeah, there's just it's gonna be really intense for her, and I hope she's gonna be able to, match up to that pressure at nationals, because last year she didn't have a good nationals either, so I'm just really worried for her.
It's sad to see how she's, like, I don't want to say pushed out, because that sounds harsh, but, like, just how, like, even the judges have, like, they're not giving her the same benefit of the doubt that they used to.
Yeah, I was really surprised at how many under rotation calls that they actually just like handed out to Alina, given that they didn't make any other calls for like most of the other ladies.
Russian ladies just stress me out too much. It's not good for my blood pressure.
Yeah, Russian ladies at nationals will stress you out even more.
Oh boy.
What if I just don't watch?
Honestly, might be best for your well-being, your mental health and well-being.
Doesn't even help. I have no excuse because like I'm off for Christmas. It's in my time zone.
Okay, so shout out of the week for this week is my personal shout out for Australian Nationals, just for being really great, because I have spent the last week nearly every day going to the rink to go watch some great Aussie skating, supporting my local athletes, and I was very lucky to be able to go there as official media, and so was able to interview quite a few people there, which was very, very exciting and also extremely nerve-wracking for me because I haven't done any interviews for ITL before and I was very worried about messing it up, but I didn't, because honestly all of the skaters that I met were just so lovely and so nice and really made the whole process so easy for me. So yes, we have an interview with Kailani Crane, who is the now 6-time senior national champion of Australia. We also have one with James Min, who is now the silver medalist, the current Australian silver medalist in men, and we also have the newly crowned ice dance champions Holly Harris and Jason Chan, who are my new kids and I love to death. So yes, you can go check them out on the website inthelowpodcast.com. You can find all the interviews there.
We also have a second shout out, which is we have merch. So if you've ever felt the need to slap In the Loop or In the Loop quotes across every single one of your personal belongings, don't worry, we have you covered.
You can go check out our Redbubble. There is a link. I'll put a link in the episode description for it, but you can find that link on the website as well. We've got a bunch of stuff up there already, and there's going to be more added. We've got lots of fun ideas for stuff, and yes, go check it out. Go get a Stefan Lumbia would like a word with you sticker, or everyone say thank you Saturn pillow. We've got lots of things, all designed by our wonderful graphic designer Gabb, who we all owe our lives to at this point.
Thank you for listening. We hope to see you again for our next episode.
And thank you to our transcribing and quality control team, Evie, for always wonderfully editing all of our episodes. Round of applause for Evie.
Oh, thank you.
Round of applause.
Thank you. I will take this applause.
And to the wonderful Gabb for all of our beautiful graphic design.
If you want to get in touch with us, if you want to let us know some stuff, some feedback, or just want to say hi, then please feel free to contact us via our website, inthelowpodcast.com, or on Twitter or Instagram. You can find our episodes on YouTube, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify, wherever podcasts are sold. You can find us there.
Sold.
You're sold for free. Let me clarify. Sold for free.
Hop into your local record store for In the Loop records.
Yeah.
In the Loop on vinyl. Available now.
We also have Pop Funkos coming next.
If you enjoy the show and want to help support the team, then please consider making a donation to us on our Ko-fi page or buying merch.
Or buying merch.
And we'd like to give a huge thank you to all the listeners who contributed to our team thus far.
You can also find all of the links to our social media pages and to our coffee on the website.
And if you're listening on iTunes, please consider leaving a rating and a review if you enjoyed the show. And thank you so much for listening. This has been Evie,
Niamh,
And Yogeeta, thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye.
See you soon, guys.